after I did like the first run and just like gave them to family and friends, I had enough people hit me up on Instagram like, yo, where do I buy this?
So people just started hitting you up because where did they see the hats?
It's just like me posting it, or a friend who I gave it to posting it, or like someone walking around.
So your whole ethos of how this thing built sounds like it
By accident.
Welcome to another episode of Bold Entrepreneurs, where we talk with CEOs, founders, creators, and visionaries all over a bowl of cereal. I am your host, Mike Press, and today we have a very special guest who I'm super excited about because he's almost like a man of mystery. So he is the co-founder of Rue Social. He is also the head of cultural relevance at Outfront Media. And this is the part where I get excited about. He is the founder and creator of Siegelman Stable. The beautiful thing about Siegelman Stable is this. I can't seem to find a way to get a hat. So I'm glad he's here today because I can have a full conversation about how we can make that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Max Siegelman in the building. Make some noise for
Good to be here.
Just me?
Yeah,
All right, cool. Let's jump into this. Cool. So I've learned over the course of time, do small portions, because if not, it gets real shaky at the end when all the milk is settled at the bottom.
I fasted all day just for this.
You fasted just for
No, I'm messing around.
I was about to say, don't do that.
I actually had a bowl of this morning, to be completely honest.
Unfair. He has an unfair advantage.
Get it going. Fresh.
Mm-hmm. I want you to think back to the room that you grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have posters on the wall?
Probably mostly like soccer posters, to be honest.
Who was your favorite player as a kid?
Oliver Kahn. I was a goalie.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a goalie for Germany and Bayern Munich. That's probably my favorite goalie at the time, or soccer player. But also I love hockey. So Martin Brodeur was also a goalie for the Devils.
You just like goalies.
Yeah, I feel like when you're a goalie, you can relate. Like you're just as crazy as them.
Yeah.
So
Why goalies crazy?
you just gotta get into some weird shit in the 18-yard box. You know what I mean? It's like you're like a little bit crazy. Like you don't care what happens to your body. You just throw it around.
Yeah.
Try and get people off their game. Part of a head game.
Grew up in Roslyn, and your dad owned Siegelman Racing Stables, right? What was it like growing up? I don't want to say growing up in the stable, but what was it like growing up around that environment?
Yeah.
How it kind of like transitioned?
Grew up in it, like fed us hay, carrots, all that stuff.
That
He's like, when he got sick, he's like, yo, I'll call the vet. But actually, so
we treated you like a horse.
But like serious. Anytime we got like sick or had like an injury, he'd be like, well, if you were a horse, like that's how he started it. Like dead ass, that's what he said. But yeah, I mean, it's different, right? Like you grow up 30 minutes outside the city. Most of people's parents like commuted into the city, worked in finance, were lawyers, were doctors, like the typical like suburban responses. And then I'm like, oh, my dad trains racehorses.
Could you give kind of like a small example of what the purpose of a horse racing stable is?
Sure. I mean, the main purpose is like horse racing is a business. The horses are treated like athletes, better than humans, literally. And there's different kind of racing. He trains trotters, harness racing horses, so with a cart in the back. That's the main purpose. He used his stable for other purposes, which is like a huge piece of the ethos of what Siegelman Stable is now as like a brand, where he opened up his stable for different equine therapy programs or different like inner city youth programs to give people the opportunity to learn horsemanship, see a horse for the first time, and just be around it.
Is it as magical as people like say it is? Like when you see like a built, I don't want to say built, but a full like trained horse, like is that as beautiful? Because
No, not you ever rode a horse? You ever been in front of a horse? You ever pet a horse?
No.
The thing is like,
I've touched a weave before.
yeah, a little bit different, but it could be horsehair. We won't go there though.
Suni Oniante, you were the team captain for your soccer team, correct?
Yeah, goalie, team captain.
How would you say that translated into you becoming an entrepreneur?
As an athlete and then as a goalie, I think like communication for me is like always number one. Like I probably try and talk to 100 to 200 people a day, whether it's text, DM, phone calls, emails, whatever it is. So to me, like communication is probably number one. And then the other one is just like responsibility, whether it's like on the field or in an office or when you're working on projects. So I think like those two things for sure.
2012, you helped co-found an app called Rue Social.
Yep, Rue Social.
Rue Social. And this is early on with social media. How did you figure out that where the trajectory of social media was going?
So I was approached by my best friend from high school's older brother who was already building websites for like Paris Hilton and some other people. And he kind of like talked to me about like what he was doing, what he was building. At the time, it was like the onslaught of like Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, and it was like felt super oversaturated and confusing. Like, what are you gonna do? So we really tried to be the first fan-facing aggregation tool and in-app where you could see all these platforms, whether a user of it or not, buy tickets to events, buy merch, all that stuff. And then the hardest part turns into like, do you have money to market it? Can you tell your story? Can you figure it out? And we were lucky enough to have LL Cool J come in as an investor and partner. And
You had Todd Smith come through,
my man,
licking lips.
Long Island boy.
Oh, no, is he?
Queens, he lived on Long Island.
Let's give.
Kids grew up on Long Island.
All right, dude.
Yeah.
He gets.
To me, Rue Social was an amazing way to get introduced to him, to open up doors for me to understand or build a foundation of where I wanted to go and do things. And he opened up doors in the entertainment world and obviously the hip hop world and all that stuff, which is kind of how I got my start into making those relationships.
And that makes it a lot easier for you to obviously get to the point where we're at now, where we're at Siegelman Stable, right? Fashion brand. Let's talk about the light bulb moment. Like, what was the point where you were like, I'm going to take what my family did and I'm going to turn it into something totally different, but I'm going to make it cool?
Yeah, so I don't know if there was a moment. I think it was out of the pandemic, not having anyone on a plane and traveling for work and meetings and all that. I think like my dad had never really made anything other than like a few hats in the 80s and like a jacket in the 80s with like the two main logos that we started with, and my mom actually hand drew for him when he first started his stable. Fast forward to 2020, me having like no relationship with the stable and not working on it, not training horses, anything like that. I was like, why don't I just make some hats and sweatshirts for like me and my brother and some friends who have asked me in the last 10 years, like how they could just get it. So I basically just made 3 colorway hats, 3 colorway sweatshirts with the existing logos, no clue what I was doing, and invested like a whopping like $300 or $400 to do that.
Yeah.
Found a shop in Williamsburg that was up and running during the pandemic. After I did like the first run and just like gave them to family and friends, I had enough people hit me up on Instagram like, yo, where do I buy this? So I was like, all right, I'll take another $400 and like try and make another run.
So what you did, so people just started hitting you up because where did they see the hats?
Just like me posting it, or a friend who I gave it to posting it, or like someone walking around. But it was like, that was it.
So your whole ethos of how this thing built sounds like it
By accident.
like word of mouth, like no ads, no advertisement, nothing, just word of mouth.
And to this point, I've spent $0 on marketing.
I mean, I really can't think of like too many brands that do that. Like, what makes you not put money into it?
I don't need to yet.
Talk that shit, Max. Talk that shit. Man looked at me and said, I don't need to.
Listen, I think like for us, it's like, I want to stay so true to like the heritage story, the brand story. I don't want to show up and look like we're paying to show up anywhere, because we have these organic placements that are happening already. I think they're obviously we gift certain people because they're the right alignment for us, but you can't have them.
I'm trying to get aligned.
But you can't, by gifting someone doesn't mean they'll ever wear it.
I'll wear it.
So, well, yeah. But I'm saying like you gift Future, he gets gifted 150,000 pieces a year probably.
From you?
No, not
Oh, I was
me,
about
but
to
I'm
say,
saying general from different brands.
That's why I sold out.
Yeah. So like, there's no way to know that he's gonna wear it unless you give him a check.
What was that moment like when you saw it?
Yeah. I don't know. Cool that he wears it, like super cool. Don't downplay that he wore it.
Yeah.
But then he wore it in a music video system that will last forever.
Yeah.
And that when I was building Siegelman Stable by accident, all I was doing and shipping boxes and all that stuff for my studio apartment in Williamsburg was like watching Future music videos. It was just like a full circle moment. And it wasn't like an I made it moment, but it was definitely like, all right, I got something moment to like keep doing it.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of amazing moments throughout the last 2.5 years of doing this, and with people who are as big as him, bigger than him, smaller than him, that has really played a role for us in our zero marketing spend game.
I want to get into the mentality of Max Siegelman. And what is one of your most memorable failures with starting this?
I am like fully in the belief that you should listen to everybody and be a sponge and absorb what they have to say. But the moment that someone tells you that they know what is the right thing for you to do and does not have a track record of doing that, but may have a bigger bank account than you, it doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And the biggest mistake we made was this, like last summer, I was talked into the whole, like, now's the time to like grow your business as fast as possible and like do fulfillment outside of you guys doing it, do it elsewhere, all that stuff.
Drop ship.
And it was the worst 3-month period, like mentally, emotionally, whatever, for me and for Siegelman Stable.
What'd you learn from it?
Listen to everything everyone has to say, but question everything. Virgil.
You got a young entrepreneur sitting in front of you, not myself, but someone else. What's a harsh truth that you can tell them about entrepreneurship?
Nothing's going to go right, but you'll figure it out. And I think to question everything, like I'll say that anytime anyone asks me that question, it's like question everything. Go with your gut is going to be your best instinct.
Yeah.
And if it's a mistake, you learn from it.
And if Max Siegelman could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Questioning everything. No. That's a good question. I mean, I like always doing the right thing first.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get caught up in if stuff starts to go right and you want to do more and more and more, I think you start to forget to do the right thing first. And I think as long as you can remember to do the right thing first and why you're doing it and stay true to what you're doing, I think that's how you end up getting to where you want to go.
Have you ever gotten lost in this whole journey?
For sure. Every day. Is it worth it? Yeah. Questioned it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you remember why you started doing it.
I was going to ask you, like, what kept you in this?
But you remember why you started doing it. You remember, like, all the good stuff that's happened so far. Like, if I look back in the last 2.5 years and I was like, we don't sell another piece of anything, like, it's kind of wild what we've done in the last 2.5 years. We don't have a staff. It's my fiance and I do everything.
For real?
Everything.
Wow.
We have a few interns for the summer. It's helpful, but like, we do everything. It's like for us to be able to be the only two to do it is obviously a big deal. But to bring it to the scale that we've done with only two of those is not that easy and pretty unheard of.
Before we wrap up, there is one thing that we have to do.
Let's do it.
It's like a shot.
Okay. Oh,
You got to take that whole thing to the head.
I don't know if I could do that.
You got it.
Just back.
Yup. Double back. One time.
You got an extra shirt?
No, sir.
I sweat this already.
Do I get my hat now?
I got him in the car.
You got him in the stable?
You gotta come out to the car, get it.
That's fine. I'll be there in a minute. Yo, Max Siegelman, CEO, founder, Siegelman Stables. I appreciate you for coming out today, man. Having a bowl of cereal with me. And we out.
Honestly, I got more hungry eating at the end.